little boy, and I go to my parents, and I was like, "Are you guys going to Woolworths? You know, hey mom, you look pretty today." Whatever it took, right? And they were going to Woolworths, you know, to buy yarn or something. I don't know. The people bought stuff there, and I got myself to go, finagle my way to go, and I go to Woolworths, and this guy was such a genius in the 1960s that he put his product on TV because that was reaching a broad audience. He created a need. Perceived need. Hey, this is the pocket fisherman. You can buy it at Woolworths, and it's only $19.95 or whatever. And he did something magical at Woolworths. He did something that is called in-your-face marketing. When you walked into Woolworths, you didn't have to go search for his product. He paid for what's called the end-of-aisle display. But for those people that run businesses or run the marketing for your business, I need you to hear this as in-your-face marketing. All of you proudly raise your hands that you have websites. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Do you actually know how many people are on your website right now, besides your mama? Who's on your website? Who's looking at your website? Because we have 3 television stations, and it doesn't matter what the programming is. At this time, we're reaching over 20,000 people who live in Chattanooga. Chattanoogans, right? Is that what it is? Chattanoogans. That you aren't talking to. You're here listening to me. So that's the power. The power is how in your face is your marketing. Anyway, so here goes the Peel Pocket Fisherman, and we get to Woolworths, and I'm looking for it, and there it is, and I point to it to my parents. My parents didn't see the cartoon, they're at work. So I said, the cartoon commercials, and I said, the Peel Pocket Fisherman. And they looked at it, like, what is that? And then they looked at the price, and they're like, oh boy, $19.95. But the thing that made them buy it for me, and the thing that allows me to talk about the power is this sign was sitting right next to it. The power of television, as seen on TV, as much as the internet's here. I've never seen a sign that says, as seen on the internet. No? As seen in the yellow pages, high five. Anyone, high five? As seen in direct mail, low five. No! As seen on TV, television for small businesses, local businesses, television is the place that brands your business. Nothing else brands. Branding is a very important part of the process. Number 2, television adds instant credibility. If you're a service business and you're going to come to my house and fix my HVAC or do something in my house, I'm going to let you in my house where my wife is and my kids are. I don't know you. For some reason, when people see something on TV, it adds credibility, instant credibility. You're going to take care of my little doggies? I don't know you, but I think I know you. Instant credibility. It also actually influences buying habits. Like when I was a little kid. Now I'm an older kid, and I have more money than I did when I was 9 years old. Let me tell you how voracious I am. I want the best for my pets, the best for my house, the best for my kids, the best for my cars. Even if I'm not buying new, I need the best to take care of it. People are, in a bad economy or low drifting economy, people aren't buying new stuff, but they're certainly taking care of their health, and they're certainly taking care of their dogs. People spend more money on their dogs. I literally spend more money on my dogs than myself. I'd never say than my kids, because that money is gone, right? But the dogs, I think I spent $75 to get them groomed, each. And I have ridiculously good hair. Yes, thank you. But I don't spend $75 to get my hair cut. I just use like a flow bee. Anyway, turns out, local television, just seeing if you're paying attention, local television increases share of mind, and it actually happens with something called reach and frequency. I'm going to use Geico as the example again. Do you ever notice that Geico, it seems they're on, right? You drive by, there's a billboard, you see the gecko, you see the caveman. It seems like they're always on. Now, when I talk about omni-channel marketing, that would be the result of what we do. If I'm able to put you in a dynamic environment of television, also extend your digital footprint to social media, to apps, to opportunities that I want to talk about, you're going to be like everywhere. Doesn't mean everybody's calling you at the exact time, but everywhere. TV is called reach and frequency. So for example, if I put you on television 10 times a week for 16 weeks on a television station in news and this, it's more effective than I put you on 1 time a week for 16 weeks, because you need reach and frequency. Reach a lot of people, reach them a lot of times. So when you're seeing what our offer is today, you're going to see reaching a lot of people, reaching a lot of times. So you have a better chance to hit the person at the exact time they're ready to make their decisions. Television lets you be known before you're needed, and the only way I could describe the current economy in terms of marketing is it's very fragmented. There's so many opportunities out there. You could do Snapchat and Instagram, and you could do all kinds of things. But television cuts through all that clutter, and the digital footprint actually allows you to target. So I'm going to cover a few of those things. But first, I want to talk specifically about the most important person that we deal with, the consumer buying cycle. So consumers are driven by brand awareness. None of you, or most of you, have never met me before, at least not before today. And over the last 2 or 3 days, you've been inundated by over 25,000 brand impressions. Now let me explain what an impression is. If you go to a website and you look at an ad, that's an impression. If you pass by a billboard and you see the ad, that's an impression. If you open up that direct mail, that's one impression. But you're influenced by 25,000. You wake up in the morning, the toothpaste you use, the shampoo you use, the makeup you use, the shoes you wear, the car you drive, the beer you like, the coffee you drink, the gas you put in your car. Those are brands just hitting you. We are very aware of brands. So I asked this young lady right here, could you name me 2 brands of makeup? Revlon and Mary Kay. Can you name me 2 more? And the answers should be no, okay, by the way.
I know where you can buy it, but I don't know what the brands are.
I did not ask that question. But the idea is because you're not the target. Even though those ads are running, you don't pay attention to them. Follow me along. When I was a little kid, when I was like 13 or 14, I had an occasional pimple. I'm pristine right now, but all I knew is Clearasil cleared zits. I haven't seen a Clearasil commercial in 40 years. What, they go out of business? No, I'm just not in the marketplace. You follow? So what we want to do is say, who are the people watching our television stations, or are the people that go online the right customer? Of course they are, because you're talking to the person who is in the right way. We're not Kreskin. I can't figure out who they are, but when you do reach and frequency, you get there. So consumers are driven by brand awareness. Number 2, a specific event triggers the need. Another good story. So I have 3 sons. They're all over 20. So I got 20, 23, and 25. So 2 of them were going literally to Las Vegas for a bachelor party, right? One of their friends is getting married. And I'm like, can you hook your dad up? What's up? I'll go to Vegas. What? No way. Okay, but my youngest son, who's 20, says, I'm going to drive them to the airport. That's the way it goes. So I went, okay, drive them to the airport. So it takes 20 minutes to get to the airport. I said, do me a favor, just text me when you get to the airport. You know, because I got the 3 boys, you know, you're concerned as a parent, right? You're concerned. Less than 12 minutes after they leave, my phone is ringing. Now, I don't know if anybody has millennials in their life. We got a couple of millennials over here, but millennials don't call. Millennials text. When the phone rings, it's bad. It's not good. So I pick up the phone, I'm like, hello? He's like, Dad, don't be worried. I'm like, okay, what's going on? He goes, my tire got flat. I skidded off the road, but don't worry. I drove. I'm like, you drove on the rim? He's like, yeah, I pulled off to the side. I'm like, ah! Because he was okay, so now I'm getting mad about the car. But I said, where are your brothers? And he said, they took an Uber. Okay, so everybody, right? That didn't exist 10 years ago. And then he says, hey, do we have AAA? Now, I'm going to tell you again. He's 20. What 20-year-old, what does he know about AAA? He's 20 years old. He's like, we have AAA. I'm like, number 1, no. And number 2, we have roadside assistance. But the point I'm making is the trigger event happened, and he thought AAA, right? I think Safe Flight Repair, you follow? We want to give you a chance that when people need what you're offering, when people need what you do, you come to mind. You come to mind. Okay, they're going to search their mind for the top 3. I did it earlier. Sometimes you can't get to the top 3. But you know what they end up doing? They will go online. But they know what they want. When I was a kid, maybe some of you remember this, there was a commercial. It had a jingle. It was like, call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away goes trouble down the drain. That's what it was. That was the commercial. You don't remember this? Everyone over 60 has to leave my room now. But they never said the phone number. So in 1972, where did I find the phone number? Yellow Pages. Now, I'm not going to knock the Yellow Pages, but there's no revolution going on with the web. There's no revolution. Did all of you become multimillionaires since you got a website? What's your name, Zuckerberg? I mean, what's up? What's up? No, what happens is it's evolutionary. So when I hear about researching online, I'm not researching places for my dog. What's the name of your place? Animal Clinic Inc. of Chattanooga. You want me to type that in. You want search engine stuff, and we'll help you with Google AdWords, but wouldn't you much rather, if you're a plumber called Roto-Rooter, wouldn't you much rather someone type in Roto-Rooter than plumber? So that's what people do. And then, you know what they do? They get impacted by digital decisions. They come to your website. If you're not a name brand, they come to your website, and it better be a good website. We could help you upgrade your website. That's what we do. We're a multi-billion-dollar company. We do everything. We could build you a new website. We can make your website mobile enabled. We can do stuff that shows how you will search, will come up in better directories, and have a better opportunity to touch these customers. Then they will call, contact, or visit, and they make their buying decision. Local businesses lack only one place. You have a website. One of the places they lack is because television is the branding mechanism. Television. And I will recommend that you believe me when I tell you, if your competitor is on TV and you're not, they're beating you. End of sentence. They're crushing you. You don't even know it. Now, how about if you're on TV and they're not on TV? You will crush them. How about if they're both on TV? We have a lot of car dealers, lawyers, they're all on TV. It's your creative that stands apart. You know, the insurance category that I mentioned earlier, does everybody get really excited when they think about insurance? Yeah, no one does, right? But for some reason, every insurance company's on TV, right? We Are Farmers, bumping up, 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 bump. State Farm, Allstate, Discount Double Check. You ever see those commercials? Yes? Good Hands with Allstate? What is people changing their insurance every day? What do people change? There are people in this room who haven't changed their insurance in 20 years. What are they doing? Well, they don't know that you need insurance. They don't know that you need to change. They don't know if you're changing life or lifestyle, or your kids are getting older and your insurance needs change. But the only difference between any insurance company is their marketing and your driving record. You ever see, we'll give us 15 minutes, you say 15%? Call them and say you have 4 DUIs. You think they're going to do anything with you? Yeah, you could call the general or the elephant. You could call them. Think where you stand in people's minds without television, and I'm telling you, you go right to the top. So the consumer buying cycle, just quickly, just so you see it again, you start with awareness, that's on TV. Your trigger drives the interest. Consideration is always based on the awareness. Yeah, I should log into Roto-Rooter. Consideration is based on awareness. Intent drives the consumer online. Your digital decision is made. Sometimes they might check you out on Yelp. Sometimes they'll check you out on Facebook, see if there's somebody talking about you. An actual purchase will be made, and then loyalty and advocacy-based marketing is at the end. Advocacy-based marketing is your social media. Can't do social media without a customer base. So you have to take a closer look. We can walk you through, our marketing consultants can walk you through every bit of this consumer buying cycle and see where you're lacking, and we could fill in those blanks for you. So this is a little bit of a fun part for me because this is not something I came up with. We actually did a survey for over 3,500 respondents from an agency called Baldrica. If you see on the bottom, I gave them credit, baldrica.net. It's a digital agency, and we paid for them to do a survey, but the question was very targeted. The question was, which type of advertising has the most impact on the buying decision? Not what kind of advertising is the best. There's no such thing. If you stood on a corner and yelled your name, that's advertising. I have no problem with it. You said something, people will see your sign, or people drive by it. That's great. But when we talk motivation, what had the most impact on the buying decision? It came back that 83% of the respondents actually said that television has the most impact on their buying decision. End of sentence. And when they said television, the next thing after it was magazines. So, of course, I did a little research, like, what magazine? Well, when my wife wanted to redo the kitchen, she went and picked up a couple of magazines. What magazines do you think she picked up? Not People. She picked up magazines that were redo kitchen people, right? You know, if you like motorcycles, you buy a motorcycle magazine, and you might change what you're doing. If you love pets, you might pick up a pet magazine. It's the truth, okay? So digital and online was almost 47% in terms of impact on the buying decision. Newspapers, radio, and billboards came up. Now, that's not bad. I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm saying they're just not as big of an impact on the buying decision. Now, on the digital side, which is very important too, if you're pretty deep into it, you're doing a lot of good things. But if you don't need more than just the next step for digital, we could help you do several things. When we take a look at how pervasive people are using their phones all the time, right? We all have our smartphones. This survey that came from Google, they found that 76% of users of local search on a phone, after they see an ad on TV for your place, and you say, hey, we got special deals, blah, 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 or an ad on yours, if they go on their phone, they did research and found that they will visit that store within one day. They will have an interaction. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It used to be I have to go to the Yellow Pages. This is I go right to my phone after I see an ad. And we can help you with search engine optimization. We can help you to talk to specific customers, your current customers. We can enable your prospective customers to find you easily if you're not, if you're not up to date. And the features that include, this is just a little bit of what we offer, is we can give you listing claiming, process management, website, backlink creation. Some of these things don't even make sense to you. We'll make it make sense to you. So here's another thing that came from an agency that said the ad medium with the greatest impact, not by consumers now, these are by advertisers, was television and digital video ads. Those were the biggest. So this is not from Darren Shapiro. This came from a survey of 300 marketers and agency professionals. One more. This was done by small agencies. They said that which performs best, traditional media, that's TV, or digital? And the answer came back, this is very cool to see. It's showing that mostly traditional with some digital, and mostly digital with some traditional, took up almost 90% of what advertisers are starting to look at. Now, if I showed it to you 5 years ago, the mix was different. This was recent. This was last summer, okay? So the direction that I'm taking you and the direction that I'm showing you allows for the fact that there's so many confusing things out there on the social media side, right? You ever hear of all these things? Foursquare, YouTube, Vimeo. We're going to cut through all that clutter. We're going to give you a chance to take a closer look at some of the things that really you're worried about. You're not worried about whether or not you have a good-looking website. You should be worried whether that good-looking website is generating leads. That's all it comes down to. We could put a pretty website up, but if nobody comes, okay. So if I asked you, and I talked to hundreds of business owners, if you could just take a quick look at that first column, if everybody could see it. I thought it was clearer in the white than not, but anybody just shout out, what would you tell me the two most important things on that list is? Yeah, the sell product and services today and get your phone to ring. A lot of times the first interaction with you at the business is through a phone ringing. Very few businesses, unless you're a big retailer, you need a phone call. Even if you're a restaurant, people will call to make a reservation, right? So in the second column, maybe easier to read, what's important to you? Just shout it out. All these things are what clients are telling me, so I'm not making this up. So acquire new customers. In fact, in certain economies, when people have nice restaurants, sometimes they're not worried about new customers. They want their current customers to come back. Hair salons are the same way. When a bad economy happens, women tend to avoid, they do their own, home hairdo job, hair dye job. So I always tell those businesses, I'm like, your promotion should be, we fix home hairdo dye, like the best way to, if you're a plumber, the best way to get business is say, we fix whatever your husband screwed up, okay? You understand? Like my dad, when I was growing up, he was a plumber. So that just makes me, by symbiosis, I'm a plumber. So whenever there's a plumbing problem, I'm like, my dad was a plumber. Do not trust me, okay? Just because, that's like, my sister used to cut hair. Do not let me cut your hair. Okay, so what's the next column? You got mobile-enabled website, update current website, retargeting, mobile consumer, and something called OTT. Anybody ever hear of OTT? Who's down with OTT? Anybody down with OTT? You know me. You remember that? Remember that? I crack myself up sometimes. Okay, do you see these two things? This says use retargeting, and this says use OTT. I want anyone in this room who doesn't know what retargeting is, raise your hand. If I say, hey, retargeting, don't be shy. Well, you all know what it is? Yeah, all of a sudden everybody's like, yes, retargeting. So I'll explain it the best way. You probably know what it is. So my wife, who I love, she likes presents, during holidays and birthdays and Valentine's Day. She's very unique, isn't she? Yes. So this past year, and it's coming up again, but on February 2nd, I went to one of her favorite jewelry stores online, and I looked at jewelry online, but I didn't buy anything online. I left. I ghosted that website, right? I looked at like necklaces and bracelets, but I didn't buy anything. Why did I go on February 2nd? Because I had to go 2 weeks before Valentine's Day to make a decision. I'm making my buying decision. But what was following me around on the web for those 10 days up to? That jewelry store. That's retargeting. Now, as a consumer, we might be like, boy, that's annoying. But let me tell you why it's good for you. If somebody comes to your website but doesn't leave information, they're a valid customer. Right? They didn't just by accident come to like, oh, well, I'm looking at the candles. No, they looked. So how do you talk to them? Car dealers do it. They're notorious for it because if you're going to buy a car, if you're looking for a car, you're usually going to buy it within a month. They retarget for a month. Real estate people do it all the time. You're not going to buy a house 12 years from now. You're buying it within the next 60 to 90 days. They look at the algorithms that make them sense. We could do retargeting for you. Now, OTT is something not very unique when I explain it to you, but OTT stands for over the top. Now, how many people in here have Netflix? Netflix? Yeah, one of my favorite. I love Netflix. I mean, I'm like a Netflix addict. People are like, yeah, but isn't that hurting your... No, people still watch TV, but when on the weekends, I'm watching Netflix. My wife's like, I take a blanket and I watch, I'm like just watching everything. It doesn't matter, I'm into it. There's other things though. There's Hulu, Vimeo, YouTube, right? Those are actually not coming through the cable system. They're coming what's called over the top. You have a smart TV, you get on the internet, even though you're watching it on your screen, that's our terminology. You don't need to know, but now you know. It's called over the top. So typically, we know that cord cutters are out there, people who don't want to pay for cable anymore, and they say, hey, I could get all my stuff from over the top. I'm going to go over the top. And if you're not paying, Netflix is a pay service. There's no ads on Netflix. But all these other services have pay walls. You got Apple TV, you got this. We could put you in front of those consumers. So in other words, you could run in front of people who are watching Hulu and this, but you go through us. We'll put you in front of these cable, the cord cutters. So local TV, broadcast TV, you're hitting them right now. The OTT, you're going to hit them when they decide to turn on a program. You follow? So it's like ads on. Okay, 2 more slides and I'm done. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to take your business, interact with a bunch of consumers, use reach or frequency on TV and a digital asset at the lowest cost possible, which will garner higher market share. You garner market share, it leads to transactions. That's just the way it goes. That's obnoxious, isn't that? You wanna? Who's doing that? I could have done that on every slide. One time I did. It was really crazy. People were like throwing stuff at me, like old bacon. So here's my suggested omni-channel integrated marketing solution. Big surprise. Television is the biggest starting point. Now, I'm not asking you to commit to the next 10 years. We have clients that are on with us for 10 years, but if you're not doing business with us, I'm suggesting 4 months. Now, the reason why 4 months is the last 4 months, whatever you did, you know what happened. The last 4 months, whatever you did, if you had websites and search engine, great. But how are we going to change the next 4 months? How are we going to make sure it's dynamic? How do we make sure it's different? So you're looking at February, March, April, May. 4 months. And if you go on television for 4 months, you're going to start branding and reaching new customers and actually even talking to people who are probably your current customers. But we are going to suggest you complement it with our digital assets, whether it's the retargeting or the OTT, whether it's targeted email, which is very similar to what you're doing with direct mail. We do a target to specific people who have signed up for these emails. And we're going to reach a huge audience at a low cost. Television is the least expensive medium to reach a potential customer. I don't know if you know this. Everybody ever watch the thing called the Super Bowl? Super Bowl, every year, highest viewed program. You ever hear that the Super Bowl costs a lot of money? Ever hear that? Of course you do, right? So 100 million people watch the Super Bowl. And every year Budweiser buys not 1, not 2, they buy 4 commercials. And all you hear is they spent $3 million per commercial. No, they didn't. They spent $3 million for the Super Bowl. No, they didn't. They spent $3 million to reach 100 million people. You don't need to reach 100 million people yet, but you need to keep the value. They're spending 3 cents to talk to a potential beer drinker. 3 cents. Would you spend 3 cents to tell someone about your business with the chance that they become a customer? The answer is yes. You can't get into direct mail unless you're in that envelope for 3 cents a household. So think about the dynamics of being able to reach a huge audience at a low cost. You maximize and leverage your brand. You reach potential customers on television. That was the Super Bowl for less than 1 cent a person. Now, if anybody looks at me and says, well, how do you know they'll become my customer? If you could get somebody for 1 cent then it's either you're a meth lab dealer or something, or you just don't understand marketing. We're going to keep your reach costs as low as possible. You know Breaking Bad? We're going to reach costs as low as possible so that your acquisition cost is low. Because that's your concern. Your concern shouldn't be how much it costs, but how much it costs to acquire a new patient or a new customer or a new a member of the. I have a horrible accent. I just said member. Did I say Uber before too? Yeah. People, it's wrong. Reach potential customers for less than 1 cent. But here's where the rubber meets the road. This is it. This is my offer today. So do you ever notice television's very accusatory? Television's like, are you losing your hair? Are you gaining too much weight? Have you taken the drug Xarelto and experienced faintness or death? It says that. Experienced death? What? You never saw these commercials? There's a commercial that says, if you had the chicken pox, you might have the shingles. And it's a horrible commercial, right? There's a guy whose face is melting, and it's never the woman. The woman comes over and goes, hey man, how you doing? He's like, my face is melting, right? Or there's another one where the guy's like playing golf and his buddy has like bad. He's like, my back is melting. He's like, get that away from me. Yeah. So I went and got that shot because it says if you're over 50, that's me, I got to do it. Okay, there's another commercial that I see that my kids have never seen, or at least they've never noticed. There's a commercial that comes on and says, are you a man over 50? Now, for women, you don't notice this commercial. And I say, I am. I say, have you had problems getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? I say, I do. How do they know me? My 20-year-old son, he don't notice that commercial. That commercial runs at the same time. He's noticing some other thing. He's noticing like Axe spray makes girls crazy or something. So I started thinking, every one of you, to a fault, or some of you, you're really in the business to help people when they need you, right? You're a gift, that's different, but when they need you, I need you, I need a loan. I need a better chance. My kids are going to college. I need to get